You guys all on here with me?
Yeah.
Oh, I see you now. Oh, this is some trippy shit.
I know, it's like you're fucking stoned or something.
What thing? Oh.
Oh, good grief. Well, I think I'm the weasel. Oh, I am. Oh, shit. So this is the game?
Life over? Ha!
Wow. So we just pretty much did all that to kill ourselves. Going to sleep, huh? Oh, no, I didn't get my fuck. How do you get blue eyes, dude? Yeah.
You guys know any glitches?
What?
You guys know any glitches?
So, yeah, how,
What's up, guys? ONLYUSEmeBLADE, and this is your Sunday Chill Commentary. And you're probably going, if you made it this far, you're probably going, why did Blade put that weird, non-important clip at the beginning? There was no stabbing, there was no coolness. Why did he share that? Obviously, guys, Sunday Chill Commentary is not about the gameplay. But for whatever reason, everything that happened at the end of that Pop Goes the Weasel run, like, pertained to life and made me like sit there and contemplate and think. And it may be me over analyzing it, or it may just be like, coincidences. A lot of times people will be like, there's no such thing as coincidences, they're all there for a reason. And this isn't talking about like some divine God or whatever coming down and showing me the ways of things. This is just sometimes things just kind of repeat and represent themselves, and I can't help but notice. One of the things I noticed was that it happened after 27. For whatever reason, there's been lots of stories, and I've read lots about this, where after the age of 27, like for some reason 27 is when a lot of great artists die for some reason. Kurt Cobain, Janis Joplin, Jimi Hendrix, and probably some other people. They all died at like 27. So the fact that clip started off at round 27 and then went to round 28 and then it went into this whole like afterlife thing and trippiness and everything like that. I don't know, it's kind of trippy. Now, I have never been a fan of zombies. And if you guys have like followed my channel, you guys have known that I've been friends with that guy who camps, and he's obviously a big, zombies fan. And I've just never been into it, except for this one. And part of it is like the prison setting, which I don't know why I dig it so much. But also because zombies, the thing that really sold me on this zombies was at the beginning of it, they said, this is the first zombies that you're going to be able to beat. And I love that. I like that. I like that concept. I like the idea of being able to beat something. Obviously, there's a lot of these like sandbox games that you play, like the Grand Theft Autos and stuff like that. You can beat the storyline, and then you can still do like little side things or whatever. For the most part, I like things that have a beginning, a middle, and an end. I like watching the development of something. I like watching the meat and potatoes of it in the middle, and then I like an end to kind of wrap it up. It gives me answers, because that's what I'm after, is answers. And so whenever there's a problem or whenever there's a story or whatever, if that story has an end, then I'm happy. You know what I mean? Like, I like movies where the main character dies in the end. If you guys have ever seen The Sopranos, a lot of people didn't like The Sopranos ending, and I got it, but I didn't like it. And the reason why is this. So, without giving out too much, if you guys haven't seen Sopranos, it's an excellent show. In The Sopranos, you start off where it's Tony and his family, and he runs the garbage place, and, it's pretty much the day-to-day, ins and outs of his life. And then near the end, you think that, some crazy shit might happen, or maybe nothing happens or whatever, and then the screen just goes blank. Because the writers felt that the show was just supposed to be about, a peek into the lives of Tony Soprano and his family and so on and so forth, right? So, that's what I like. I like things that have an ending. Now, one issue, though, one little problem, is that the first time I played it, what I was searching for was a definitive ending, a definitive I've completed it, but what actually happens is that it reads the cycle continues. And what that means is that no matter what the problems are, no matter what things happen in this world, in your lifetime or whatever, what you do, like, what is the main goal of life, right? What is everyone's main goal in life? Is to find a little bit of happiness, to find a life partner, to have a kid or children, and then try to teach that kid or child, how to try to do life right, even though none of us really know how to do it. And then you die, and then that kid continues the cycle. It's kind of crazy if you think about it, because it's kind of an endless loop. It's not anything that we really have any control over. And so while I was looking for something that isn't just an endless, because zombies for the most part is this: you get set up, you get your little you get set up, and then you basically just keep on playing, and every round it gets a little bit harder and harder and harder and harder until eventually shit kills you. So that might be a metaphor for life. And it's kind of fucked up, because, like, even though it might seem like it might take a long time to make it to round 27 to round 30, hell, I've thought about doing, I don't really like here in Buffalo. I'm not here to dwell on that, and I'm not getting the kind of YouTube money that I used to. And I thought about doing like a Twitch thing where I stream and have a fundraiser to get to round 100 on this, because I still like playing this. I still like playing this particular set of zombies. I don't like Buried. I don't like Die Rise or D-Reese or whatever it's called. I don't know. Just a thought that I kind of got sidetracked on. So, if you think about it, it is kind of a metaphor for life. Fucking, it's easier, but you have to get set up, and then once you're set up, then you pretty much need to kind of rinse and repeat until you get to a point where you have a couple chances. Like, if life does bring you down, then you have a couple chances to kind of regroup. But then it pretty much reaches a point when you just get tired and you don't even want to continue. It's in your best interest to continue, and it's in everything that you want to continue, but for the most part, it just gets where it gets so complex, and then you're just like, okay, I'm done. Now, I'm not talking about suicide. I don't really advocate suicide. I don't think it's like cool, and I'm not talking about that. And I think that suicide's for lazy people. And I know that sounds fucking mean, and I know like that is a soundbite. You'd be like, wow, Blade, you're a dick. But I honestly do think that suicide's for for people that don't want to live, well, obviously, but also that it's kind of an easy coward way out. So it's just kind of a thought. I know that sounds fucked up, and I know that people might take that the wrong way, but it's kind of true. I think that, like, people are fighting every day in order to stay alive. And so the idea that you dislike whatever life that you have, that you decide that you want to just end this story early, is kind of crazy to me, because I don't want the story to end. Like I said before, the only things I'm actually scared of is death and having a child with a woman that I do not love. That just sounds like fucking hell to me. So my roommate Scott, he was a little down. He's a little sad panda, and he started, like, he was talking to this girl, and this girl sent him some information on, like, astrology stuff. And I've never really been a huge fan of astrology stuff because I'm kind of more of a realist person, and there hasn't been anything that has shown me that is actually, like, the way things are, you know? And what I mean by that is that I could give anybody an astrology timeline thing or whatever and tell them how their day is going to be, for the simple fact that we as humans are deposed. We as humans want to think that we're, like, good and splendid and there's no negative sides to us. And so if you put out something saying, hey, I think that you're a good, kind-hearted person and that you look out for your friends, and everyone's going to be like, yeah, you know what, I do that. This astrology stuff's pretty on point. Well, of course it is. It's a compliment. It's everyone wants to have courage, and those little, like, those words like that are just basically just, like, filler words, and obviously, you want to have that. And the thing that really got me about this is he asked me for, like we're talking about coincidences, he asked me for my date of birth and the time I was born. And I didn't know the time I was born, but for some reason I just instantly said 9 p.m. I don't know why. And I have this weird feeling that I bet you that it is 9 p.m. when I was born. I don't know why, it's just that weird, eerie feeling that I have. Anyway, so he punched in my information, and this thing came back with, like, a 9-paragraph thing, and I'm going to read a couple of them, and then I'm going to kind of just, anytime something pops up or whatever, I'll stop it or whatever. So, this birth chart shows the positions of the planets for Brian. The sun represents vitality, a sense of individuality, and outward shining creative energy. Well, yep, plus for me, yes. Restless, cheerful, and friendly, Sun and Sagittarius people are generally on the go. They have lots of freedom and disdain for routine. Generally quite easygoing, Sagittariuses make friends with people from all walks of life. They love to laugh and tease and get along with both sexes. Okay, so the generally quite easygoing and makes friends with all walks of life. That makes friends with all walks of life thing is so true. For whatever reason, it seems like a selfish thing, but I look at other people that I meet along this trip of life, and I look at them as characters. I tend to try to associate more with characters than I do with actual real people, which is kind of fucked up if you think about it. Like, one of the things I do in that first clip, the first clip was just me and 2 other dudes that I met randomly in a lobby. It wasn't anybody else on my friends list. It was just 2 dudes. And I wanted to be that tour guide of getting them to Pop Goes the Weasel. I don't know why I really like that, but I wanted to, like, at the beginning of the lobby, I was just like, you guys, one thing I always ask people, when you're playing Mob of the Dead Zombies, when you get by the docks, do you know how to get the part when you're playing with multiple people? And if they don't know how to answer that, then I can't really help them. I just back out. But as long as I can answer that, and as long as they have mics, I might be able to fucking talk to them. It's just it's just an interesting thing to go on this journey with random ass people. Some people say that zombies is fun with friends, but I find it actually fun with people that I've never actually met. And part of it is me, I kind of like to show off. I kind of like when I get into those modes where they go down and then I have a setup and I'm able to get rid of all these zombies. They're like, holy shit, I would have died if that was me. And there's part of me that kind of wants to be in the spotlight, and I dig that. But also, I like going on that voyage. The Pop Goes the Weasel achievement with randoms is a pretty awesome voyage as long as they're not retarded. So, I don't know. Like, the people that I have in life, most of them are fucking characters. I don't really hang out with lames. I don't really hang out with people that aren't at least interesting at some point or have something to offer up intellectually. You know what I mean? And that just because I like having interesting characters in the story that I call life. They love to laugh and tease and get along well with both sexes. Sagittarians have often blind faith in people and in the world. The optimism is infectious, although it can get them into trouble from time to time. They are curious people who love to learn. Their idealist nature is hard to miss. All those things, while they're positive things, and I get that, and I get that everyone would like to have that. Not everyone has that same kind of thing. The reason why I'm even bringing up, like, you know, this whole astrological sign stuff is because there actually is somewhat of a study. While, you know, your makeup, the way that you are is dictated by your genes. It's a combination of your mother and your father. And then also there's a process of your environment from when you were a kid. But the thing is that when you're a kid, you have a certain kind of upbringing, but then when you become an adult, you realize that your upbringing, while is important, you realize that you're an adult now, so you kind of have to not be naive. And there's this thing about being a child that it's kind of encouraged naivety. And so then it's almost like, it's like you read a book, but then you got to watch the behind the scenes of how the book was made. And so now you have a completely different outlook on the book, if that kind of makes sense. And also the teasing thing, I don't tease people that I don't like, but I will tease people that I do like, if that kind of makes sense. And I think that I can make fun of myself. I make fun of myself all the time. And so people I'm with, I'm going to make fun of them, not in a mean way, but in such a way that you know that that I love you. It's almost like the idea of a roast. Like, you ever heard, you know, someone was just like, would you roast this person? I'm like, no, because I don't actually like that person. Like, you know, you only really want to roast the ones that you love. So, get along with both sexes? Yeah, sexual. Although generally easygoing, Sagittarius is a fire sign. This gives natives, I don't know why they list natives as this, a generally quick temper. Fortunately, they're usually as quick to forget what they got them angry in the first place. The need for escape is generally strong, and solar Sagittarius come across as a little irresponsible. They're generally easy to forgive, however. After all, the direct, honest approach in life is admirable. That's so fucking true. Like, here's the thing. I've thought about doing, like, one thing that I worry about is content on my channel. Because obviously I want to make sure that it's interesting, gives an interesting point. And, you know, although there's stuff like these Sunday Chill commentaries, and there's stuff like just regular commentaries and the Grand Theft Auto, I want to make sure that I worry about the content on my channel. I really do. And so I honestly thought about doing this. Thought about doing live comms. You guys like me in my chill mode. You guys like me introspectively. I find it more interesting. But just to let you know that when I play Call of Duty multiplayer, I rage just as hard as you do. I really do. I wish death upon people. I hope that, you know, an AIDS balloon will pop over their head. I mean, I really do get agitated and mad, and I would probably be physically, like, if I were to do like professional Call of Duty, and if I were to do professional Call of Duty, like where you go to like these events and you play Call of Duty, and the person that is killing you is like 5 feet away from you, I would probably throw my headset down, go over and punch him right in his cocksucker. I really would. I'm a really, really, really chill person. I am. You guys know that. You guys know that I'm chill, I'm relaxed, and things don't really bother me. But when you put me in this mode of Call of Duty, I want, like, it makes the passion, the fire in me, makes me so fucking furious. It really does. And so the reason why I don't really do live commentaries is because all it's going to be is me raging and being a complete asshole. And I'm not, here's the thing, I think there's a difference. I'm not an asshole. I just think that I'm a complete dickhead when I play Call of Duty, and I think a lot of people are. Like, no one plays Call of Duty, it's just like, oh, flowers and crumpets and jolly stuff, and, you know, I just love all my brothers and sisters, and no, Call of Duty, I don't know what it is, but when you play it, you fucking rage. And I think that's actually healthy. I honestly think that that's healthy, because I don't think that the rage in me when I play Call of Duty is like the whole idea, the concept of, oh, it's in you, so you're actually a bad person. No, I don't think that at all. I think that it makes you fucking angry. Like, when I find that when I don't play Call of Duty, I'm in a more, like, happy fucking place, but also at the same time, I don't think just a happy fucking place is, like, necessarily a place you need to be all the time. Sometimes you need to fucking get your Hulk on, you know what I mean? And I think that's a safe venue to get it out, while I don't think if I didn't play the game I wouldn't get it out. It wouldn't be like if I was just like watching Netflix and I'd be like, the season's over? No! Oh! You know what I mean? Like, that's always an interesting argument. Like, why do people have this idea, like, does Call of Duty make you rage? Or is the rage in you and Call of Duty is the vessel? Just kind of a thought. But I am a very, very passionate person, even though I kind of seem passive. Part of it is because I know what kind of goes on. Like, when I make YouTube videos, I remember that before I started making it, I was also a viewer, and I still kind of am a viewer. So I kind of want to know what although that the me raging stuff is like is might be funny the first couple times, it'll get really old real quick. And I think that my content is better than me just being fucking, oh man, fuck you, sniper, I hate snipers, you know what I mean? Like, screaming that you hate snipers or screaming that you don't like getting noob tubed or whatever, it might be cool for like a minute, but then after a while you're like, okay, we get it, dude. Like, no one likes that. So even though you might be able to relate to me on the fact that it's rage inducing, I'd rather you relate to me on a more retrospective level. Like, my viewers, the personal time that we have together, i.e. Sunny Chill Commentaries or whatever, I would rather you guys know me on that level. Whereas if I were to talk to you nothing about like the Call of Duty level, I feel that once you move on from Call of Duty, that you would feel that you would not have a connection with me because I'm just that dude playing Call of Duty. That's why I try not to have anything that pertains to the game, because if you think about it, talking about stuff that pertains to the game, whether it be Grand Theft Auto or Call of Duty, which happens to be the two games that I play, if for whatever reason you're not into that anymore, that might cut off ties between, I want to call it a relationship between you and me. And the reason why I say that is because I used to drink a lot, and I've really, really cut back. It's actually kind of interesting. This is a Sunday morning, and I'm not wasted drunk. If sometimes you have your friends when that you only have because you played Call of Duty with them, or you only have because you smoked weed with them, or drank with them, or whatever. And it becomes tough because, like, let's say you get a job and the job drug tests you. Well, smoking weed is all fun and dandy and shit like that, but obviously you need to keep your job, so you're gonna basically make that life choice to not smoke, right? Well, that means that when that happens, then you kind of realize, because you might meet up with your friend, and if all you guys used to do was just like smoke weed together, and now that you're not doing it, well, now what? Are you still friends with them? And it's kind of shitty when you realize, that your friends kind of cycle through every 7 years or so, like 6 or 7 years. Your friends that you're like, oh my god, you're the best, you're my favorite. They kind of cycle through, and it's crazy, but it is what it is. So the only things on this earth, I don't know if chipmunks, I don't know if cheetahs or chimpanzees sit there and contemplate. Okay? But if you think about it, sitting there and actually thinking about what you have to do, or what you do, or whatever, but sitting there and contemplating, like, your actions, not just doing your actions, but actually sitting there and thinking about how your actions would cause, what kind of heartache it would cause, or what kind of positive or negative. Basically, intellectuals. I think that humans, even though we can be very, very dumb, I think that, as far as I know, we're the only intellectual species that are on the planet. And the reason why I'm bringing that up is because we like to sit there, we like to think, how are things? Why are things the way they are? What is the meaning? Why do I get up in the morning and do what I need to do? Is there an end in sight? Can I change my current ways? All these little ponderances that we have. And while I've always liked the concept of a beginning, a middle, and an end, every day that I go along with that concept, I realize that the concept is flawed. And the only reason why I say that is because, like, okay, in that clip that I showed you in the very beginning, remember the dude's like, whoa, this is trippy. Like, this is what this is all about. And then we go through the process, and the cycle continues, and he comes back, and there's just kind of like this silence. And I remember when the silence happened, they're like, that's it. There's so much build up to it that I think that when I finally go, there's going to be so much build up to what we think. Like, we want this grand idea that you know what I mean, that the Earth's gonna part, or whatever. Whenever you pass and are no longer with the living, that some amazing thing's gonna happen. But the probability of it, I'm not trying to sound negative, but the probability of it is that you're just gonna fucking pass. You're just gonna go to sleep, and that's gonna be it. And we feel that we should have this huge climactic ending, but it's not. And once a movie is almost over, even though that movie was extremely long, eventually the movie's like over. You know what I mean? And so, I don't know, the cycle kind of continues. And the idea is that your job, your place, the only way that this world continues is you having children. Either you birthing, if you're a woman, you birthing children, or if you're a dude, you provide that semen for it. And the things that happen are, you try to do right, or you try to do wrong, or whatever. You basically just try to be you, which is a crazy concept if you think about it. Think about that. If you're like saying you just try to be you. If you just try to be you, well, isn't that just a standard thing, just being you? Anyways, you being you for your period, you contributing a little bit to the group. And what I mean by to the group, I mean from all the other people that are living on this earth, you basically don't bang on the walls and don't fuck them over. You just try to be a nice person, and you you kind of live life, right? And then you give birth, and you get the happiness and the joy of, it's almost like a mulligan. It's almost like a do-over. And what I mean by that is I think that a lot of people, when they have children, they tend to act as if it's a second try at all the things that they didn't want to do. Does that make sense? It's a second try. They're like, well, I wanted to play sports, so my kid's gonna put extra hours in at the basketball court so that he's gonna be the next, he's gonna be the next Michael Jordan or something like that. It's just like, well, obviously, kids want to have their own lives, and think about this, like, if you're 12, do you think you'd really want to kick it with your 30-year-old version of yourself? I don't. Because that 30-year-old version of myself would want to talk to the 12-year-old version of myself and try to give you, like, insider information. And the 12-year-old version of myself would be like, who the fuck is this loser? So, it's interesting because, like, a lot of times, like, all mistakes have already been made. You know what I mean? Like, mistakes have been made. All problems have already happened. We just give, like, new, weird skins on it. You know what I mean? Like, all love stories, all betrayal stories, all stories, I know that people are not going to like this, but all stories have already been told. We've rinsed and repeat and completed the cycle so much in life that all stories have already been told. The only problem is that we either haven't heard the stories before, or we listened but we didn't hear them. I don't know what's the proper way to say that. I always fucked it up. What's the proper to say? You heard me but didn't listen to me or whatever, or we don't apply them. I.e., you could take in lots of information, but if you don't apply it to anything, like I could sit here and do 100 Sunday Chill commentaries, and I could talk about the deepest shit you've ever thought of, right? But come Monday, that's either going to resonate with you, or it's not. And I'm not trying to say people live your life better, because I don't live my life that well as is. I never want this to become like a preachy thing. And I see other people, and they sit around and they talk and they share information and they go back and forth, but like it's almost like you're sharing dead information. You know what I mean? Like I could tell a fable or a story or something, and it could really resonate with you at that time. Right now, you're probably just super resonated with interestingness from listening to me for the last like half hour or so, right? But if you don't do anything with it, the cycle's going to kind of continue. You know what I mean? If you don't take any information or take any insight or do any of that stuff, it's one thing to kind of like discover something and be like, oh, that's interesting, or like, oh, now I know. But it's like another thing to actually like use that information. And that's the part that that's caused by Arrested Development, that's caused by Peter Pan syndrome, is that I've been able to like intellectually look at things and make metaphors and come up with stuff. But like when it actually comes time, it's almost like this is a good metaphor. I can make the diving board in the water, but I'm not going to jump into it. That's so crazy. This idea that you can come up with all like the most complicated concepts in the world, but just a simple like, I don't really feel like doing it. And it's not a scary thing. It's like, And that's what's kind of caused, an Arrested Development. Now, back at the clip from the very, very beginning, right? So now we know the information. Now we kind of took off. And it's really weird because as you could have whatever thoughts. Like, that's kind of a surreal experience. That whole process is a surreal experience. What adds on to it is the fact that, you've been playing for an hour and a half with random people, and, doing like this, doing all this stuff to get to this moment, all this build up, and you're kind of just soaking it in. And you got one dummy, you'd be like, oh, so we just do all this stuff to kill ourselves? And it's just like, you kind of ruined my moment here, bruh. Sorry, man, come on, you know? And then it becomes a thing where you're kind of... Imagine watching a movie in the theater and you're like, and it kind of changed you, like an Inception or some shit like that. Like, it was just like, whoa, that experience. And then there's the part when you walk out of the theater and there's a dude or a kid or something and they're like, oh, I'm about to watch Inception. Is it any good? And you're like, I don't even know how to explain this to you. Like, it's almost like with life. Like, I think it's really weird because, you know, when you're like 70 years old and you're about to die or whatever, and you see some kid, you're going to be like, kid, you have no idea what you're up for. You have no concept of what the fuck's about to happen to you. When we got out of that lobby on the Mob of the Dead after doing Pop Goes the Weasel, we got out of the lobby. It puts you back in the lobby, and it added some random dude in. It was just some dude's like, hey, bro, you know how to do glitches? And it's just like, man, if you just knew the experience that we just went through, it's really weird that you're asking me this. So, life's all about the experiences, what you can actually take from it, and then also the butterfly effect, chaos version of doing it around different characters in your life. And that's why the characters in your life, that's why, remember I said they change every 6 or 7 years? I think the reason why is because I think a movie would get boring if you had you're going to have a main character that's going to go through it all, but then like to not have other characters change up a little bit. Because I feel that whenever I see things where it's like, you know, people have been friends since high school, like everyone says that, you know, if you're watching this and you're in high school, this may be offensive to you, but like, you're not going to have those same friends when you get older. You might have a situation where like once a year you guys go out camping or some shit like that, but it's not going to be a situation where you guys kick it every day and you're friends forever or some fucking Saved by the Bell type shit. It's just not going to happen. So I think that we naturally want different characters on this course of life, and the problem is that sometimes you realize that the cycle continues. And I'm not trying to get all fucking emo on you here, but like sometimes you realize that, you know, for all the amazing, crazy feelings and thoughts and deep emotional shit that you get from as experiencing as a human being, well, in the whole grand scheme of things, you're just a person that's going to live for 70 years on this earth and then just pass on. And then, you know, I hate to call your child fungus, but like, or a disease or whatever, but I know it sounds really fucked up, and I know that in the wrong context it's not going to make sense. But in essence, what you're going to do is that you're going to have a child, and that child is going to continue, you know, the saga continues. And that's fucking crazy to me, man. Like, that can't be all that there is. I could travel all fucking 7 continents and do all kinds of stuff, and I could, like, you know, I could do all kinds of crazy shit in this world. You know what I mean? Like, I imagine if my fear isn't not doing awesome shit, my fear is doing awesome shit and going, this is it. Does that make sense? Like, I wouldn't want... If I went to every single continent and skied or snowboard or skydived or fucking... Or, you know, cannonballed into the largest breast in the world or whatever. If I did all these awesome things, maybe it's because I haven't done them yet, but I don't think anybody can really be like, unless they're like heavily drugged, I don't think anybody can be on their deathbed and go, ha, time for me to go. That was a fun fucking ride. I did it right. So I want to do it right. I want to do fucking crazy shit. But also at the same time, I really don't see the possibility of doing like a lot of crazy shit in this lifetime because, you know, we only have a short time on here. And then at the end of it be like, okay, yeah, all right, it's time for me to go. I did all my shit. Thank you, bye. No, fuck all that. Maybe it's just my young age saying that, but like, I don't think I don't think that when I actually do pass, I'm going to be super pumped about it. I think I'm going to object. Like, objection, give me 5 more years. Just give me 5 more years. But this whole perpetual thinking about life and everything like that and trying to find the answers when really there are no answers and just, you know, keeping busy while trying to figure it out. The only way that it really continues is if I have a kid, and then that kid is going to try to figure it out, and then his kid's trying to figure it out, and it's a whole bunch of people trying to figure shit out that really shouldn't be figuring shit out. And so I know that you watched this and you thought, hey, you're probably going to find some answers, but nope, not today. Not today. I'm just here to remind you that you don't have the answers and probably ask some more questions. But if we're not contemplating questions, I feel like if we're not actually just kind of the same way with this Mob of the Dead thing, like when I'm not doing the process of furthering, then I just get bored. I just get completely bored. So I feel like I always need to have, you know, like some goal in order to get to. But like just the idea of just running in circles and just hoping that I don't get murked, that's not really life to me. So, completely random. Cycle continues. Sunny Show commentary. ONLYUSEmeBLADE. Peace and buckaries.